Almost out of nowhere, a small town in the Midwestern United States was filling headlines across the U.S. and around the world. Images of young African Americans facing off with police officers in nightly battles captured the imagination of millions. On this edition of INfocus, we take you to the streets of Ferguson, Missouri, where the growing controversy about racism and police brutality in U.S. society has exploded into weeks of unrest. It was already sunset when we arrived in Ferguson, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis. A young communist activist who did not want to be filmed guided us into Ferguson. Already, many of the major roads getting into the city were blocked off. We first went to an encampment set up across the street from the local police station. Tents were erected, and 24 hours around the clock, local people stationed themselves there, holding placards bearing the name of Michael Brown. Michael Brown was an 18-year-old student from Ferguson. On August 9th, he had been killed by police officer Darren Wilson. Various autopsies show that the officer had shot Brown 6 times, including a fatal shot to the back of his skull.
6 times! Don't shoot!
People in Ferguson and the surrounding community had responded to the death of their young neighbor by protesting.
No justice!
Local stores had been looted, and clashes had taken place between the community and the police. Now state troopers, local police, and the National Guard had the city locked down. With directions from local activists, we were able to reach the site of the nightly rallies, utilizing back roads that had gone unnoticed by the police. As we approached the site of the fighting, we were overwhelmed by the presence of military equipment, such as armored cars, like those that patrol the streets of Iraq and Afghanistan. State troopers and sheriffs in green military helmets, gripping M16 rifles, were lined up along the side of the road. Police officers in full riot gear stood in front of the local McDonald's restaurant. A crowd of roughly 2,000 young people from Ferguson and the nearby area had assembled and were marching through the streets. Every so often, the police would move in and push the protesters back. At one point, a young man began to confront the police, waving a sign at them.
Why we gotta explain we human? It's 2014. Why does that need an explanation? There's too much science out there for y'all to not understand we are Homo sapiens. Quit pointing guns at us and gassing our kids. Teenagers out here. Y'all weak. Weak cowards. You are a weak coward to point a pistol at a child.
Suddenly, in response to the young man's outpouring of frustration, the police moved in with their riot gear. I asked the officer why he was threatening the young man with arrest, and got no response. The pattern continued for roughly 2 hours. The crowd would march, and the police would move in. Around 11 o'clock, things suddenly changed. A line of officers with shotguns began to move in on the crowd. Police voices over a bullhorn demanded that the crowd disperse.
You need to disperse immediately. You need to immediately stop throwing objects and disperse immediately.
Tension flew high, and a bottle was thrown. The police responded with rubber bullets. The police then began to charge into the crowd, with shotguns drawn, selecting young people for arrest. In the chaos, the police cleared the entire area, threatening people with arrest. The police did not simply target the crowd, but also the media. Repeatedly, threats of arrest were made against the journalists and photographers. an officer violently shoved a photographer. Police with guns drawn charged into a line of reporters. As the crowd of protesters and reporters was pushed back, they loudly began to chant the world-famous last words of Michael Brown. Hands up, don't shoot.
Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up!
A group of Christian ministers, working closely with the police, urged the young people to end their protest.
Attention media, please stay in the designated media area.
Hold up! Hold up!
If you are not credentialed media, please disperse now.
How you gonna let off the shot? Keep them on! Don't listen. Give them a word, yes,
Later that evening, in the official police department press conference, the police representative denied that anything but pepper spray had been used against the protesters.
Could you clarify that question?
The next day, shell casings were discovered at the site of the protest. The next evening, as people gathered, a young man who had been hit in the face with a rubber bullet began talking to the media. As he attempted to describe how he had been shot, the police moved in and pushed the media away.
Let's keep walking and talking. We had a peaceful night.
Ferguson is located in the midwestern state of Missouri. Missouri is a rural state in the agricultural heartland of the United States. Just outside of St. Louis, one of the few urban areas of Missouri, is a small suburb called Ferguson. The town has just over 20,000 residents, with over 2/3 of them being African American. Many of the young people who gathered at the rally site were visibly exhausted. They had been protesting non-stop, late into the night, for weeks. The neighborhood where Mike Brown lived and was gunned down is called Canfield Green. We were able to speak to a number of Mike Brown's neighbors. Canfield resident John Bond described the jobs of most people in the area.
Lower income jobs, service industry jobs. There's some professional people that live, I'm sure they live in this particular complex. It looks like one of the nicer complexes. And actually it is, but the problems that we have are from the law enforcement that makes a nice complex, or otherwise nice complex like this, feel more like an occupied zone.
Residents said that there is ongoing tension between the community and the police. Kiosha Kansi, who lives just across the street from where Mike Brown was killed, described how she and others felt about the police officers.
No one generally likes the police because it's always racial profiling. Like, I don't know if you heard on the news, but it's only like 3 black cops on the whole team. So how are you policing a black neighborhood with no black cops? Like, where's the justice there? No one wants to see the police at all, by no means. There is a strong hate for the police force right about now. Generally, we could coincide together, but at this point, no one wants to see a police car or anyone in uniform. I don't feel safe. I get real bad anxiety when I see a police car. Like, I don't like seeing them at all. They're scary. They're scary. They have a lot of power, and you are basically hopeless compared to them. Like, they can shoot you, clearly. They can take you to jail. They can put charges on you that you probably haven't even done. Like, not all cops, but some cops, you know. No one wants to see the police.
As we filmed the area, a group of local children were running in and around the crowd. One of them told us, quote, "I know why you are here. You are here for the guy I saw covered up on the street." After Mike Brown had been shot 6 times, his corpse had remained on the street for 6 hours, while police guarded it, refusing to let it be inspected by medical personnel. John Bond explained to us how the killing of Michael Brown had taken place.
He encountered them on the other side of that black Chevy right there in the middle of the street, how do you know he wasn't just crossing the street to get to the other side? Look, there's 80 different ways to go out here.
Mm-hmm. And they assumed he was a troublemaker.
Yeah, they had to. If what he says about I pulled up and told him to get out of the street, I'm sure they weren't just standing in the street. Especially if you done, or allegedly done took some cigarillos trying to get to where I'm going. I'm not finna be hanging out after I done stole something and I confronted somebody in the store or was confronted in the store. I'm finna get back to where I need my destination.
While we spoke with residents of Canfield Green, behind us, Ilyana Vidzat, star of the TV program Ilyana Fix My Life on the Oprah Network, was making an appearance. In front of TV cameras and surrounded by private security, she was urging the young people of Ferguson not to protest.
You're asking for justice in a court case. Can we expect the same courts that lock you up to give you justice here?
Never.
So what are you gonna do? Don't make it about that. That's the icing. You got the cake. You gotta bake the cake. What kind of cake you bake? You understand? A cake where there's equality, where there's services, where there's education. What kind of cake are you baking? You got the opportunity.
Ilyana Vidzat was not the only person to come to Ferguson in the aftermath of the rioting. Many Christian ministers and Democratic Party-affiliated civil rights leaders were there as well. All of them urged 2 weeks' peace and called on the young people of Ferguson to end their nightly protests. In unison, they denounced the looting of local stores. One young woman, who lived near the site where Michael Brown was killed, said that the looting had been justified. She refused to give her name.
I feel like the looting was necessary because if it wasn't for the looting, we wouldn't have had none of this attention. It wouldn't have went state to state. It wouldn't have, you know what I'm saying? The looting was necessary.
She felt that the police presence, not the actions of the youth in the neighborhood, was the real cause of the violence.
As far as standing out here, seeing what we doing, making us move, telling us we can't move, we gotta move, we can't just stand like who? No, I don't feel like they should be out here. Who are y'all to tell us what we can and can't do if we not breaking no laws? So they making it worse. That ain't scaring nobody. Nobody. If anything, it's making it worse. It's just making people more bitter. Like, that ain't scaring nobody. Like, just like they got all these big equipments, like, this is the, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't put nothing past nobody. So you don't know what other people have. Like, I just feel like it's making it worse.
John Bond agrees with her.
And then on top of that, you're gonna come in here and you're gonna tear gas us, and you're gonna shoot us with rubber bullets, and you're gonna show up with tanks and armor and you know, come on now. For peaceful protests, it was peaceful protests at first. It was peaceful protests, and they still had their armor out. They wouldn't even allow us to do the peaceful protest, and they wouldn't allow the press to cover it. So there was, you know, we're dealing with multiple issues. We're dealing with censorship of the press.
If you are credentialed media, you need to immediately return to the media staging area near the command post. Please do it now.
We're dealing with the repression and oppression of the black male in America. We're dealing with militarized police. We're dealing with a lack of financial resources in our community. We're dealing with a justice system that's, you know, we can go on and on and on about the justice system and the type of shakes we get.
Bond said that the kind of thing that was done to Mike Brown happens to black men all across the United States all the time.
Anger, built up anger, resentment, hostility.
And you said built up, so it wasn't just about this one incident. It was about...
No, this happens every day. This happens every day. This is a daily occurrence. What's being done to us is a daily, systematic occurrence. Put on a blindfold, put a map of the United States up on a wall. I'm gonna give you a dart, and you just throw the dart at the board. Wherever it lands at, that's where it happens at. It's everywhere.
Bond says that deeper issues are involved, showing the great frustration of many in the community.
The people had to put the government, law enforcement, the world on notice that we were not just going to stand around and continue to take that. And if they continue to treat us like that, it's going to happen again here. I can't guarantee you the safety of these streets. Let us stop spending our money on foolishness, wars that we shouldn't even be, have involvement in, and invest that money in the communities here. They're going to have to bring the resources. There's going to need to be a direct connection between the resources and the powers that have the ability and the people who are responsible.
I will shoot back.
It don't get no plainer than that. Why on God's green earth would all that money be spent given to the police when none of the people in the community got a dime or have received a dime? The other Mike Browns, look around. Those guys that were standing right there, they're Mike Brown. Those guys that's right there, they're Mike Brown. I'm Mike Brown. Everybody that's from here, that's going through the experiences of what we talked about, we're all Mike Brown.
Nearly everyone we spoke to agreed that if Officer Darren Wilson was not charged for murder, the situation in Ferguson would greatly intensify.
If charges ain't filed, it's over with. Like, it's over with. Like, that's not cool. Like, what he did is not right. You don't shoot somebody more than one time and they already down. Like, and then you shot this man in the head. Like, no, it's over with. He gonna have to do time. Something needs to happen, not just he don't work at the police. You know what I'm saying? Like, something is going to happen if they don't put that man in jail.
Though police have driven over it with their cars on several occasions, a small shrine in memory of Mike Brown has been rebuilt. Flowers and wreaths lay in the middle of the street where he was shot down. It is clear that the incident, in which Mike Brown was killed with 6 bullets from police officer Darren Wilson, ignited real anger. Mike Brown, who died at 18 years old, is now known all throughout the country and the world. Ferguson, Missouri, a small suburb in the Midwestern United States, is now the center of a nationwide conversation about racism and police brutality.
Yo, this go out to Mike Brown, Sean Bell, Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, and all the other innocent lives we lost to the hands of the police. Let's go. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Rest in peace to Mike Brown. What's up, y'all? Rest in peace to Mike Brown. Let's go, y'all. I'm sick of all these cops abusing their privileges. Can't win these innocent kids for little petty ish. Protect and serve. Now your whole set is absurd. How do you feel when your weapon dispersed? Picture your son face while you squeezing that trigger. After the body drop, you probably called him a foul racist. I guess it really never left the basics. Might as well throw the white sheet on with some Asics. Your badge out, you bugging for the media, you frontin'. Tasing protesters, throwing beatings by the dozen. The people of Missouri ready to ride, I saw it. All because the way you treating them, you could avoid it. I can't forget Eric Gardner and Staten Island. Police choked him out in front of his family, wailing. Another black man dead from white hand cop, and he got death duty. Put that man in a box. Hands up! Don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Rest in peace to Mike Brown. What's up, y'all? Rest in peace to Mike Brown. Let's go, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Need to take a stand, man. Stand up for our own people. White, black, brown, and everything all around, you feel me? It's us against them, man. It's far from a fair game out there. Whether it's the hood, the ghetto, the burbs, don't matter. It's still a jungle. Don't like us, don't respect us. Racism, discrimination, racial profiling, it's never gonna die. Never. We as the people need to speak up, keep protesting, keep throwing lawsuits at them. Any chance you get, the violation is never gonna stop. They've been violating our civil rights and us as human beings. It's ridiculous. There's more of us than there is of them. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for yourself, your family, your loved ones. You know what I'm saying? This go out to Mike Brown, Eric Gardner, Trayvon Martin, Sean Bell, everybody else we lost at the hand of the police. for no matter what reason, no matter what crime you committing, as long as you ain't shooting at them or attacking them, they ain't got the right to shoot and murder you. You feel me? So with all that being said, I only got one more thing to say, y'all. It go. Rest in peace to Mike Brown, what's up, y'all? Rest in peace to Mike Brown, let's go, y'all. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Enough. That's it.
Hands up! Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands